Hello, Mr. Burry. Are you sure you want him as mayor tonight?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Mayor John Christian is not here tonight, so I, as Mayor Pro Tem, stepping in. Let's start with the invocation and pledge. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your many blessings. We pray that you will continue to bless this community and this great city. Please give guidance to our city commission, our staff, this team, as we work to make our city better tonight. In your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so we have no proclamations. Let me scroll down. No presentations. Bear with me. This is my first meeting, so bear with me, everybody. Next is public comments. This section is reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities for praise. Issues brought up will not be discussed in detail at this meeting. Issues will either be referred to the proper staff or will be scheduled for consideration at a future city commission meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Anybody like to speak? Okay, next, approval of the city commission minutes from the meeting of June 14th. And I actually have just one minor correction. It was just, just pull. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought this was different. Okay, sorry. Next is consent agenda. Hang on a second. Well, I don't have any comments here. The bottom line is anybody, if you want to pull something, let me know. We can pull it. If not, the commission will approve everything on the consent agenda.
So I'll go ahead and pull 5A1 so you can correct the minutes. And then I've got 5B1.
Anything else?
Nothing from
Okay.
me.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Roll call?
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Peterson.
Yes. So 5A1, will somebody please introduce?
I'll introduce and move for approval. Just the minutes.
Oh, 5A1?
5A,
Yeah. It's the,
Yeah.
5A1.
Okay, it's minutes.
This is the minutes. Now, is B1 minutes as well?
no.
Okay. I have a comment on minutes. I need to do a separate motion? Or can I do them both? No? Okay. On the minutes, I want to amend 5C3. It was on the airport discussion. I just want to change that one word. I already went over it from T hanger to box hanger. We already changed it in the minutes. Okay.
I think we need a second to.
Okay. Yeah, I do just second so we can discuss
Second.
it. Second. Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Peterson.
Yes. Okay. Would somebody please introduce 5B1?
I'll introduce has to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a construction services agreement with Team Fishel, Inc. to provide labor and equipment to the City of Leesburg Electric Department for the construction of 2 Leesburg electric utility projects for an amount of $1,527,435 and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah. So I pulled this one just, it's $1.5 million, and it's for the electric utility for the village's expansion. But I thought since it's such a big amount that maybe Al could give just a little overview for everyone of exactly what this is about.
Okay, this is, if you recall, we issued debt. I don't remember when we did this. I think it was before Commissioners Burry and Connell were on the commission. But we issued $15 million in debt in the electric department for the purpose of making different system improvements. Those numbers were $4 million to repay ourselves for the transformer improvements, $9 million for villages expansion, and then $2 million for various other improvements, kind of associated with the villages, but not quite, kind of going out the feeders down South 27 and the feeders coming out of North Sub to go. So that was the plan. The intention was that with the villages extension, which was part of the Duke territorial trade, that those 950 houses, once they're online, would generate the new sales revenue that covered the debt. So the debt on that 15 million was in the neighborhood of 1.2 million dollars. That funding then will come from the sales. So this $1.2 million or $1.5 million of work is associated with the 2 feeders that go out to the village's expansion. So in essence, the money coming to cover the cost of that contract work will be coming out of the proceeds that we have from that debt expansion. There's another $500,000 associated with the materials that they still have to purchase on that. So in essence, from a 20,000 foot perspective, this is a total of about a $2 million project that's part of the $9 million in expanding out to the villages. Covered with the debt proceeds, and then the debt proceeds annual payment is covered from the sales.
Any other discussion by the commission?
I think you ought to also mention that we get more units out of the deal.
Right, part of
by doing this. Yeah.
Right, part of that goes back to when we did the territorial agreement too. There was the original. The city was going to serve the 470 property that we sold to the villages, and Duke was actually going to serve everything that was in Sumter County. The villages got with both utility providers, however, and they asked us to come up with a different territorial agreement because their preference was, instead of going with the historical territories, they wanted territories that matched their villages. So we did the flip-flop with the villages. That got us the 950 units versus about 875. I think the number is 932 to be exact, instead of about 875 that was going to be in the 470 property. And remember that 470 property was different because everything in the 470 property actually wasn't ours. We only had the north third of it was only in our territory. So it was advantageous to us because we got more houses and we got the load sooner.
Yeah, and I just point out that these are all outside the city, and this is a big reason why we can make all these great improvements in Leesburg is because we have this electric and also the gas system that are serving a much bigger area than just the city of Leesburg. So,
And just to add on there too, there's a number of customers on those 2 lines that come out of North Sub that will get better redundancy, newer systems, help us serve Tierra Oaks better. So there are, even though that's $9 million, that's villages expansion. There's those 2 feeders that we're improving serve that northwest section of town. So there's existing customers that will have a benefit in service as well.
Any other discussion? Any public comments? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Bree?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck?
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Peterson?
Yes. Moving on to public hearings and non-routine items. Would somebody please this is the second reading. Would somebody please introduce 6A1?
I'll introduce to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, rezoning approximately 221 plus minus acres from PUD Planned Unit Development to PUD Planned Unit Development with revised conditions to allow for commercial and residential development for property generally located east of U.S. Highway 27 and south of Windsong Oak Drive as legally described in sections 25 and 36, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, and sections 30 and 31, Township 20 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion among the commission? Any public comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Peterson.
Yes. Moving on to 6B1. This is a first reading. Somebody please introduce 6B1.
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, extending the expiration date set by ordinance number 2000-29 and later extended to September 30th, 2003, then extended again to September 30th, 2006, and then extended again to September 30th, 2009, then extended again to September 30th, 2012, then extended again to September 30th, 2015, extended again to September 30th, 2018, then extended to September 30, 2020, then extended once more to September 30, 2021, for the participation by the City of Leesburg in the Municipal Service Taxing Unit established by Lake County to fund ambulance and emergency medical services and providing an effective date.
Okay, this item will lay over, but is there any discussion by the commission tonight? Any public comments? Okay. 6B2. Somebody please introduce.
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, vacating approximately 2.25 acres of right-of-way for property generally located south of Dixie Avenue and east of Lake Street as recorded in Plat Book 1, page 69, Public Records of Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Okay, this is also a layover, but any comments?
I'll just say, I did get with Al, and I'm like, hold on, why are we giving away 3 acres of land? That's I just bought some right-of-way at Romac, and it wasn't free. And he explained that this wasn't actually right-of-way, and even though there's no plat on it, it's actually part of this property. You could probably explain it better than I just did.
Yeah, there is no public purpose, and this is a statutorial thing too. There is no public purpose in this right-of-way as it's owned inclusively by one property owner. And then on top of that, you had a PUD that redid that old plat. So in fact, statutes will prohibit you from doing that, and you're basically cleaning up the map to be conducive with the PUD. And you're doing it in 2 steps. It's this item and the next, and that's just the way the petitioners requested the vacation.
I'm looking at Dan. I mean, yeah, I agree with Dan. I mean, we're giving away real estate if we can't sell it.
Yes.
We could.
What Alex told me, there was actually never a street there. You would have not viewed this as Leesburg property. It was always part of this parcel.
Yeah, there's no public purpose to the property is the bottom line, because it's owned contiguously by one person, and there's a PUD over it that makes that null and void, which prohibits you from selling it.
Okay. Any other comments by the commission? Any public comments? Okay, roll call.
First reading.
Oh, sorry. Okay, moving on to 6B3. Somebody please introduce.
Introduce and ask to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, vacating approximately 0.73 acres of right-of-way and retaining a utility and a public ingress and egress easement for property generally located south of Dixie Avenue and east of Lake Street as recorded in Plat Book 1, page 69, Public Records of Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Yeah, again, this is a layover, but any comments by the commission? Any public comments? Okay. Moving on to non-routine items. Let's see, first one, C12A.
See,
Where am I? Hang on a second.
you're on
I'm on non-routine items.
You're on
2.
C1.
6C.
Oh, I missed number 1, an important one. Do I need to introduce? We just have a discussion on it.
And-
Needs to be introduced? Okay.
Introduce and ask to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, granting approval of a request for a mural on the property of Leesburg Marketplace Shopping Center located on the southwest corner of U.S. Highway 441 and Perkins Street, and providing an effective date.
Yeah, this is just a permission to do public art. Maybe just a tad bit of confusion there. I thought it was associated with the Leesburg Art Center, but it's not. But it goes in concert with some of the concepts that they were doing. In any case, the owner of the facility wants to put. We passed out the mural before you. This type of mural up on the side of their building, and so they're seeking your permission to do so. If you approve, yes, they get to paint it. If you say no, they don't.
I was just kind of curious, they can't do it without our approval? I mean,
Let me get Dan. I think the answer to that's yes,
Like we have-
because
Yes, because under our sign code, in order to do a mural, it does have to receive the permission of the city commission.
okay. I approve, that's good.
Any discussion by the commission? Any further discussion?
Yeah, it's just, yeah, they can can do a mural. You can paint your building bright yellow, but
Yeah.
mural. So, yeah, I think it looks good.
Any other comments? Public comments? Okay. Do we need a, I guess, roll call?
Need a motion.
Oh, we
Move
need-
for
I need a
approval.
motion for approval. Need a second.
Second,
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Burry,
yes.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Peterson.
Yes. So item, okay, now moving to C2A. Would somebody please introduce?
I'll introduce to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, appointing a member to the General Employees Retirement Board of Trustees and providing an effective date.
No. Motion?
Move for approval.
Second,
Any discussion by the commission? Any public comments? Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Burry,
yes.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Peterson.
Yes. Item C2B. Somebody please introduce.
Introduce and read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, appointing 2 regular members to the Planning Commission and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Move for approval.
Second,
Discussion on this. I was a little confused. At first, I thought we had just the right number of people applying for the open position, but am I correct on that?
it was
Yep.
2 apps and 2 positions.
this is, yeah.
2 apps and 2 positions, and so the 2 open positions and the retiring positions are being requested to be filled by the existing members, which is Ted Bowersox and Fraser Marshall.
How are we advertising these vacancies? Because I had no idea this stuff's up.
In the newspaper, I
And-
do them 2 consecutive weeks.
And so I think that's for the boards that like planning and zoning is it's a pretty important board, I guess. I mean, a lot of stuff comes for it. Although I do have some separate line of questioning about the purpose. But if we're gonna have these things, I think we should be putting these out on Facebook and where people, I mean, the Daily Commercial has like a subscription base of like 5,000 people, and of those 5,000, I bet 5 of them read the notices. So I know it's legally what we have to do, but if we're going to have these boards, we should be recruiting people. And, first of all, and this isn't a slight to Mr. Bowersox or Mr. Marshall. I mean, there's no question how much that both of them have given back to this community. Mr. Bowersox, between the commission and this board, has been on it for decades. But that being said, and I've been making this point since I've been on the commission, is we need new people to be involved. And they're not finding out. I mean, if commissioners don't know when these things are up, I don't know how other people are. And you look at the P&Z board, and I think it's out of step with this commission. We frequently overturn them. It seems to be very, very anti-growth, kind of the whole NIMBY thing, where not in my backyard, which is it's fine. That's a perfectly fine outlook to have, that you don't want to see Leesburg grow and you want to see it the way it was. I mean, it's a perfectly valid view, but it's not one that I think the majority of this commission holds based on the actions we've been taking. And so, you know, I'd like to see this re-advertised in a way that we can get a broader pool of applicants. I'd like to have term limits on all of these boards, especially P&Z, because someone being on there for decades, I think is a bad idea, just like it'd be a bad idea for someone to be on this board for decades. And then outside of that, given that it's only an advisory board, we're constantly overturning them. The same people go to those meetings for hours and complain. Then it comes to us, and they have to come and us to complain. Why? And I guess as I'm looking from staff, like, why do we have a P&Z board?
The statutory, isn't it?
I don't know. I was a question.
State law requires
Yeah.
it.
We have to have one.
Yes.
I
Okay,
think
well, that's a good
the
answer.
only- That's the P&Z is the only board that's statutorily required.
Okay, it seems such like an exercise in futility to have everyone come and do the same thing twice. But if the state says we got to do it, we got to do it. Okay.
Okay, that was my next question. Which ones, this is the only one that is statute driven?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
In the past, we have used some Facebook stuff. We have put it on the website. Historically, since I've been here, we've struggled filling all of the advisory board positions. Dan, you've got, when do these positions expire?
End of September.
End of September. I mean, so you could probably, and it's June, so I don't know, you could probably revisit this in August. You've got a couple of weeks, so we don't have to take action on this particular item tonight. You can let it sit. We can throw some more advertisements out on the website and hit the newspaper again and revisit it, I would say, second meeting in August.
And I'll say, the one time we pushed it, we had like 8 applicants because we couldn't get everyone. Do you remember that meeting?
The one time you pushed it, and I
Commissioner
do
Hurley
recall-
really pushed
Yeah,
that
you guys
and was out, pushing it on social
you
media and
guys-
stuff. We got a lot of applicants.
We can blame that on Hurley. He did put the arm on a bunch of folks when this issue popped up. But so if the preferences of the commission to kind of table this, I think we can do that, and we can.
Now, we've already voted on one board, right?
We voted on
You did.
the retirement
And that would be
board.
to keep Al Halliday.
Yep.
And how long has Al been doing it? I mean,
Probably
he's
that,
dedicated.
Al's been doing it quite a while.
Very good
and,
point.
And
I feel that, yeah. I mean, the pension
Yeah,
board doesn't really
It's
do
just the
anything,
planning board more that your concern is?
That is my concern, because like people actually show up to those meetings, and I think with a constructive board, not a constructive, a different board makeup, it could be more constructive, and we could see things maybe more in line with this commission. But mostly just one that also seems to be the one that people in the past have expressed an interest in being on. They didn't this time, but
Yeah. Well, my comment would be perhaps we should introduce limits like we have. Maybe that board should also fall under that thing, and that would, but we only had 2 people apply, so.
well, theoretically, you do have limits on that. There's a term that they serve. I think it's a 4-year term that you appoint them. 3-year term that you appoint them to, and this is the body that does it.
I mean, it would take.
So
a-
if you keep reappointing everybody, that's.
yeah.
Well, when you have 2 people apply for 2 positions,
Well, I respect Dan's comments. I guess we have, Frazier, I think, is new to the commission. I believe he was voted on 2 or 3 years ago. I know.
I think this would be his second appointment.
Second, okay.
Probably third.
Oh,
Is it
really?
second or
Okay.
Third.
He's here.
He's been around a while. He is here.
Okay, I know Ted's been on here a long time. Yeah, personally, I would support these 2 and maybe talk about making changes after this going forward. After we publish it and get more names. We don't have any other names now, but I would support these 2 tonight. I don't know how the rest of the commissioners feel.
And I'm the newbie, so I'm only current with what PUDs we've seen and approvals thus far, and And basically, everything we've done thus far is agreed with what has come from planning this, since I started, so.
Last year was a bit different.
Yeah, it might have been a lot different then.
And it's possible that this year is going to be a bit different going forward.
Yes.
Because there's some pretty contentious ones out there. Yeah, it's just, we've had quite a few 7-0 disapprove votes from the Planning Commission, and then have come to this board and then been approved.
In the past, you mean?
In the past, yeah. And I get it. I mean, so they know their vote's not final. Only people that don't want stuff show up. You're not getting paid. Like, it's really hard.
$25, come on.
25 bucks, right. It's really hard to sit there when everyone in the room wants you to do one thing
I get it.
and say that. But,
We've been in agreement with them of late. I know you're new to the commission. I've been on the commission 2.5 years. I know my first year there were a lot of disagreements. We talked about it. I think the commission knows where we stand on that. It's been better of late, but does somebody want to make a motion to?
the motion's already been made.
Yeah.
There is a motion.
Motion to delay
Is there a
it?
motion?
Two, yes.
No.
So there is was there a motion, did it include the names?
Yep. Okay. Any public comments? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
No.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Peterson.
Yes. Would somebody please introduce 2C? C2C.
I'll introduce, and that's read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida,
Motion to
Move for approval.
Second.
discussion among the commission?
Because I would have the same comments going forward. I'd like to see it advertised on social media. And
And
otherwise.
that's a good idea, Dan.
Yeah.
But I
And
don't
this
really
is-
care as long as board.
This is basically retaining
Yes.
most of the
And
same,
yep,
same
except-
slate and
Same
adding
four
one,
people.
Yep,
one new person, so.
yep.
Yeah. Any public comments? Oh, Dan, did you?
What you got? We had one applicant that lives outside the city. I just want to make you aware of that.
Oh, do we need to, was that part of the,
that's historic.
But they're not on this list.
On the historic board?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
yeah,
it's,
you need to appoint everybody but Tracy Bronson.
Thank
So
you.
we're going to have to come back and bring you another name.
We're going to have to come back for another.
Because Tracy can't do it.
Yeah, Tracy lives outside city limits.
Yeah, you have to live in city limits.
I will make a motion to amend to remove Tracy.
Second.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Peterson.
Yes. Would somebody please
So
introduce?
that was the amendment. We still got to vote on the.
Yeah. Can we take,
Say it again.
That was the amendment, so we still have to vote on the
It's a motion.
the motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused on that, but, okay, so,
So I had to amend it to remove Tracy. So we had to vote on removing Tracy, and then now we have to vote on approving the
okay.
rest.
Approving
Okay, I
everything.
got it now. Okay.
Yeah.
So moved?
So we should roll.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, just roll call? Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Burry,
yes.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Peterson.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Somebody please introduce C3.
I'll introduce, and that's to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, relating to the provision of fire protection services, facilities, and programs in the City of Leesburg, Florida, imposing fire protection assessments against assessed properties located within the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2021, approving the rate of assessment, approving the assessment roll, and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Discussion among the commission?
I had talked to Al a little earlier, and maybe we could get him to tell us, in the exemptions, we have mobile home parks and RV parks and churches. And I'd just ask him why the
So,
mobile home and RVs get an exemption.
okay, so I can't remember when we implemented the fire assessment fee. I want to say it was fiscal year 14 or 15. And we had, the commission at the time had some pretty detailed discussions and I think some compromises and ultimately a way that we went forward with adopting the fire assessment fee. Embedded in that were the 3 exemption categories that have historically continued through. So as part of the statute with the fire assessment fee, you have to re-adopt it every year prior to its implementation. So we've done that every year. We've increased the fee only once, roughly, when we originally adopted the fire assessment fee. The equivalent residential unit was about $57 annually. Last year, I want to say we increased it to $87. So that's the same in this document. So it'd be the same fee as fiscal year 21. And the exemptions are sanctuary, church sanctuary areas only are exempt, that square footage. We also exempt some low to moderate income, and we exempt mobile home park property that's vacant. The way that the way we and the first 2 I think were political compromises. The third was a recommendation from the consultant that helped us adopt the program whereby we bill based on mobile homes are pay the same as an equivalent family rate. So we will bill a single property owner of a mobile home what we think their total number of mobile homes is. If they have vacancies, they are then required to get to us to prove that those areas are vacant. So it does put the onus on the owner to declare that they have vacancies, otherwise they're paying full freight. So that's basically how it's written. Those are the exemptions. We've been rolling with that for 5-6 years now. And so you're adopting the same thing.
So mobile homes are paying the fire
Mobile homes
assessment?
are paying, and if there's a vacancy so let's say that park has 50 mobile homes.
Mm-hmm.
They pay 50 times the ERU. And if they only have 48 spots, they got to contact us and tell us they have 2 empties.
Okay, and I guess my question would be is when does it have to be empty and how long to get the exemption?
Probably it hasn't popped up since we've been here. If they sent us an exemption, they'll send us an exemption letter, and then we'll go back and review it. And if it's vacant, we'd give it to them.
I mean, do we verify that through like customer services, if there's
That
current
actually
utilities and stuff
That
on
actually
there?
goes through my office.
Okay.
And since we've imposed it, I haven't gotten an exemption request on a mobile home park to
Okay.
date.
That's yeah,
Any other comments?
no.
Yeah, I'll say, so I vote against this every year because I don't like the exemption of the churches. It was a political compromise. Frankly, I don't even think it's really allowed under the state statute. Nobody's ever challenged it, so I guess it probably is until someone doesn't. But there's no reason to do it other than to make people happy, which I think is a terrible reason. They provide services, we provide services there just like everyone else. And to me, the one benefit of a fire assessment as ad valorem is everyone pays it, regardless of your profit versus nonprofit status, because nonprofits do eat up a lot of services as well as provide them. So, if anyone wants to add it back, I'm fine with that, but otherwise I'll be voting no.
And this is the only nonprofit class in the fire exemption, is churches?
Yes.
Okay. Why am I getting that look?
Just because I hope you got 3 votes coming up.
Any other discussion by the commission? Any
I think it's
public?
also important to note, how much revenue is generated from this.
About
But,
1.5 mil. Is that what we did, or
$1.5
did we go
million,
1.8 this year, Brandy?
Yeah.
1.5.
You could probably generate 1.6 if you tax churches.
Any other comments? Public comments? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
No.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Peterson.
Yes. So 6.4, I'd actually requested this on the agenda. Discussion item on rails to trails funding. I don't know if you want to start it, Al, or
Yeah, happy to start it. I think this is probably kind of a directional type discussion item. The Rails to Trail issue has, I think, been around the community for a long time. This particular year, I think Rails to Trail issues have picked up. Been getting a lot of requests about the city making Rails to Trails a priority for funding. And obviously you saw the request. It was about $500,000 to study trails. Many cities have seen them being a benefit and being a good recreational pull into the community and that type of thing. They're obviously supported by the MPO, and Leesburg has been encouraged to participate, and the request of this body has been to fund them. My recommendation was to go ahead for this fiscal year, which fiscal year 22, so let me be clear, this fiscal year starting October 1, and go ahead and make an allocation for them. But that allocation will come back to this body a couple of different ways. First off, that is a big request, the $500,000. However, we would recommend that you fund that with the American Recovery Act grant funds. I do believe that is going to be an eligible expense. So it's kind of, as far as a revenue item and an expense item in 22, it's kind of, you've got the money through those funds. If it turns out that you can't use those funds for that, we come back and revisit that, obviously. And then secondly, those funds are pretty significant, so you do have lots of other dollars to still spread around. And then you still do have that item coming back to you in the form of discussion, whether that's on the recruitment process for an RFP that would go out, on an expense approval, or what have you. So you're not writing a blank check this evening, but by at least putting it in the budget, I think you're hearing the request that's coming from the community, and it still gives you ample time to review it and ask questions before you actually have to stroke checks.
What else could that grant be used on, though?
That grant being the American Recovery Grant, we are slated to get about $10 million of that funds. I think there's still some questions over what that can be used for. I can tell you, I know infrastructure issues, water sewer extensions, broadband extensions, extensions of grants to businesses or persons affected by COVID. You are also going to get a request from the Boys and Girls Club to use some of those funds to help them with operating their first couple years, which is an eligible request. So anything that has been affected by COVID and some infrastructure issues is about roughly where the American Recovery Act is slated for. You have not had that discussion to date. What I would like to do is probably as we get into the budget time frame and as those funds do, and you haven't received a check yet, for those. There's been some other bigger communities who have received checks. We have not to date received any funds. So, A, you don't have the money yet. B, you're slated to get it. C, it looks like there's a pretty wide window of what. And D, those are items obviously that you will have discussions on before.
So if it's slated to be used for COVID-related activities, how does the trail fit into
Under the infrastructure category.
Okay.
Yeah, I was the one that asked to have it on the agenda. Myself and two of the commissioners listened to a presentation by the Rails to Trails group. The president, Michael Stevens, is here. I don't know if the commission would like to hear him speak or somebody speak on the Rails to Trails. But the reason I put it on the agenda was with budget coming up next month. I thought it was a good chance to get the commission educated as we go into budget. And obviously, I'm a supporter of it.
Yeah, so I spoke to Mr. Stevens. I spoke to Mike Woods at the MPO. I don't have any problem throwing them on the budget. I will say I'm much more excited about the Lake Denham Trail than the other two. Whenever it comes down to it, because I think the ability to hook into the villages is that could drive a lot of actual traffic to Leesburg downtown. More so than the other two, even though it's further out, but, and would like to see staff, maybe go ahead and start having those conversations with the villages, now as to what what that might look like, even before we decide to fund it, because where you could connect and before that area gets developed is kind of a little bit time critical.
And I don't know if one of y'all can help me out here, if you want to come to the podium and help me out here. I know enough to be dangerous on this subject.
Good evening. I'm Mike Stevens with Lake 100 and the Trails Committee and Friends of Lake County Trails. Yes, we have had preliminary discussions with some folks at the villages, and they were going to take that back to the family to try to discuss where would be a good place to bring the trails from 470 into the villages. So it is a discussion that's ongoing that needs to be continued. We haven't heard back in terms of where they would like it, because there's some alternate development going on down there in terms of what they normally do. So we've started that discussion, but it would be good for the commission to meet with the family and try to figure out where would be best for 470. I know the county wants to pull into Pear Park and connect Pear Park as well as go down 470. But what we're really trying to do is connect the downtown Leesburg trails that Leesburg had done such a great job with, and building local trails and building interior trails. We want to connect those to regional trails to actually show the benefit and bring in the economic impact that those trails do. We're trying to go north to go on up to Marion County, as well as connect to 466A and 466 to go west over to Sumter County into the villages. That's the Gardenia Trail PD&E update that we talked about. The Tavlee update to the PD&E study for that would take it east to connect with the Wekiva Trail. The Wekiva Trail is being built right now. It connects into Seminole County, Orange County, the Coast to Coast Trail, and the Heart of Florida Loop. And that's all coming into Mount Dora, Tavares, and then hopefully into Leesburg if we can finish the Tavlee to get that connected to the downtown Leesburg trails. That's the second PD&E study to connect the Tavlee PD&E. And then the third was the Lake Denham going down south to the 470 area as well as Pear Park. So we're just trying to get the local interior trails for Leesburg to kind of have them shine and show their potential, because right now they're local trails, and local trails are great for communities and for connecting communities and that kind of thing. But in order to have the economic impact, you need to have longer trails that are connected, excuse me, to regional trails where people will actually come, spend the day, spend the night, and those folks spend a lot more money. They stay longer. They stay in your community. The folks that come and use the trail, like a 40 to 50 mile trail, will spend about 4 times as much as your local user just using your trails. It's the folks that live here. And the folks that come and spend the night will spend about 8 times as much. That's what we're trying to accomplish, is get folks on these longer trails and get them into Leesburg, either from the villages or also down from Marion County. Going north, if we can get up to Marion County, you'd actually connect with the Cross Florida Greenway, and that connects with the Heart of Florida Loop that goes all the way around Central Florida. And just one park up there, the Cross Florida Greenway, it's got 85 miles of mountain bike trails and about 15 miles of paved trails right now. And it's actually a state park, and it brings in over $264 million as a state park every year to the state of Florida in terms of economic impact. And most of that is in Marion County, just south of Ocala and Bellevue. So that's what we're trying to do, is make these regional trails connect to downtown Leesburg and to the Leesburg area, the trails you've already built.
And help me out, Michael, but for the commission's benefit, my understanding is the PD&E report has to be funded by us or a governmental entity. But
Yeah.
once we get past this stage, all the funding or the majority of it is pretty much through the state and grant money. Is that correct?
Yeah, the FDOT used to fund feasibility studies and PD&E studies. Those are the first 2 steps to developing a trail. The FDOT quit doing that about 2 years ago. Now they require that the local entities come up with the money to fund the feasibility and the PD&E studies, and then you get listed on the list of priority projects with the MPO. You're already on there with the feasibility and PD&E studies, but once you get past that, then the MPO can start looking for state and federal money and grants and so forth to fund the trails. And you compete with other trails in that same area in terms of once you get past the PD&E, then you move to design and right-of-way and construction. But at least you've made it past that hurdle, and then you become eligible for state and federal funds.
What do they pay of it?
I'm sorry?
What does the state and federal pay of the actual cost to put it in?
Most of the time, it's the full project. You get listed on the list of priority projects, and then you move from there to get state and federal funding for design, right-of-way, and construction.
I mean, is it 100%? Is it a matching, or what?
I'd have to ask the MPO, but from what I've seen, it's all been the state of Florida money. Like the state of Florida is paying for the Wekiva Trail, the state of Florida is paying for the Coast to Coast Trail, the state of Florida is paying for the River to Sea Trail. and the Heart of Florida Loop. And all that money is coming from Sun Trail funds, which is money that goes into vehicle registrations that you pay.
No, I'm not a trail person, so for me, but I was under the impression the Gardenia Trail already went all the way to Fruitland Park border.
I'm not sure exactly where it stops and where the city limits are, but it's very close.
Yeah, but I thought it was like done. Like, that's why I was wondering why we would do PD&E on it if it already exists.
Well, to continue it north, to continue it on up to
But
Lady
we
Lake
can't
and
continue
Fruitland
it
Park.
past Leesburg borders, can we? I mean, that would be Fruitland Park.
Again, I don't know where it actually
Yeah.
terminates
Okay.
right now.
I think we need to figure that one out, just because I'm concerned that maybe Fruitland Park's the one that actually needs to do the PD&E there. Like, I think we might actually be done with our portion of it on that one.
Yeah, I don't think it quite gets there, but again, I don't know where the city limits are. That is something you want to, you probably want to get with Fruitland Park and Lady Lake. I know Umatilla is having a meeting this next week with Eustis and designing the River to Hills Trail. It goes a north-south regional trail, and they're all starting to work together, because the more you work together, the more inertia you can build and momentum you can build, the more the MPO will recognize that and DOT will recognize that, because they understand how much the desire and demand is there for the trail. So I would recommend that you contact Fruitland Park and Lady Lake and all those surrounding cities to work together on it.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
So we can slow Gardenia Trail down, but help me out, Mike. The Tavlee and Lake Denham are clearly going to fall on Leesburg, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The Tavlee is just an extension of the existing Tavlee that ends around the mall to bring it into downtown Leesburg, and there's a couple of options to do that. They've got a Silver Lake option to go around Silver Lake. They've got a Sunny Hills option to go through Sunny Hills. They've got a number of different options on the original PD&E, and that's the big trail right now that's getting a lot of focus. The city of Mount Dora, the Lake County, and the city of Tavares are all in a tri-party agreement and have applied for a $25 million grant from the federal government to buy the railroad right-of-way and the railroad operating lease from Sorrento into Mount Dora to go ahead and get that built. And we actually received $2 million in funding from the state this year from appropriations to do the design work on that trail. And we also received $2 million to do the construction on the Green Mountain connector, which is south of there as well. And we also received $4 million to bring the Sorrento part of the Wekiva Trail from where it ends now at Hogan Street on into the Sorrento East Lake County Park, and that brings it closer to Mount Dora. So there's a lot of things happening with the Wekiva Trail, and again, that'll connect Leesburg to Tavares, to Mount Dora, to Seminole County, Orange County, the Coast to Coast Trail, which is a 250-mile trail across the state, as well as the Heart of Florida Loop, which is a 275-mile loop around the Central Florida area.
Yeah. So, personally, I would rank the Tavlee as, first option. It's just my opinion. Lake Denham next, and Gardenia. I agree, Dan, we could probably put that on hold and see what the Villages has to say. Fruitland Park, Lady Lake. But we're not voting on this tonight. This was just getting this out in front of the commission as we go into a budget process. Any other comments by the commission?
Yes, I would, before it comes up for a vote, I would like to know what kind of funding is out there and if it's matching funding or just a flat amount of what it's going to pay before we go out and spend $500,000 on a project to find out that we don't want to spend that kind of money to even do it.
No, I respect that comment entirely. I think, how I bought into this is you can't even get to the table unless you have the PD&E. So we're just sitting on the sidelines, and this will at least get us in the game. And then,
Well,
of course, there's risk.
Yeah, and I'm fine with, the discussion on it and coming up on spending the possibly 500, but I'd want to know what kind of funding sources are out there to do this before we spend the 500,000 to find out it's a 50-50 match and it's a $8 million project to do it.
Yeah, okay. Any other comments?
I sit on the CAC committee, which is a Community Advisory Council. It used to be the BPAC committee, the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and I have not seen a matching fund like that. When it's gone up to design and right-of-way and funding, it's all been state money or federal money that Mike Woods would be better to answer, because I'm not on the MPO, that side of it, but Mike Woods could certainly answer those questions for you.
Anything else? Thank you very much, Michael.
Okay.
Any other public comments on this item? Okay. We have no informational reports tonight, so next city attorney items. Nothing tonight. City manager items.
Nothing tonight.
Oh, thank you, Al. Roll call.
Commissioner Bury?
I did have one thing that I just wanted to throw out there and maybe start some discussion. Certainly don't want to take up a lot of time with it tonight, but we had a discussion last week and we were talking about the overall need for workforce housing. And we've talked about affordable housing. We've talked about 55-plus housing. And me as the new guy, I would kind of like to know what our game plan is for our community as far as what kind of mix are we looking to create. I think we need some, I talked to Al a little bit about it today, but you know, I kind of want to look at what have we done in the last 10 years, where are we going, and have just for myself, it would make it a lot easier to make these decisions if I knew, you know, you don't go into a football game without knowing what the game plan is, and I don't really know what our game plan is my comment.
I don't have any comments on it.
I think it's a great idea, you know, because we get, you know, what's very, I think, probably frustrating not only for us, but for the people on the other side who are coming to generally oppose every development, because there's always, you know, people who oppose, is the comment we always get is, well, I'm for development, just not this one. And okay, that's fine. But what developments are we for, and where should they be, right? Like, what areas are going to be, you know, are we looking at for targeting, you know, higher end housing, and where does the workforce housing, where does the affordable housing go, and kind of having an idea of what that looks like, I think makes a lot of sense, and maybe helps with some of this pushback. You know, that the idea is that the only thing that can go in any area in Leesburg is exactly what is already there, because that's what it boils down to, the public comments. But it's frustrating on their side where they have no idea what we might put anywhere. So yeah, I think it's a great idea to spend some time thinking about that.
I would just add there, just to help the commission as far as gaining a general direction on where you want to go with growth. Obviously, I think everybody knows by now that the commission has been requested by the county commission to have a meeting about growth as a catalyst from that latest subdivision that went, I can't remember the name, first reading, last meeting. But in any case, I think with that, what I'll try to do on a staff level is put this on an item to kind of reintroduce you to some of the concepts that came up from the different ISBA ideas as they've kind of circulated in history. Have you guys just have just a general discussion before the county commission in a larger discussion about growth. So, and hopefully from that, through some of your input and discussion items, staff will gain a little bit of a direction of where you want to head with respect to growth, and tailor our work and our recommendations around what we would project the consensus of the commission to be. So I did hear back from the county manager after the county commission's passage of that resolution about meeting. We're in the process of just comparing notebooks on calendars. Andy, have they gotten with you yet? Obviously, Andy's a big part of that. So I will try to squeeze in a discussion with you all. I'll be getting with Dan on trying to get a little bit of a chronology and input to you all to have a larger discussion. We'll try to get that agendized on an easy meeting date, which is a hard topic to discuss.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, Jimmy.
Commissioner Connell?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Roebuck?
If you could just remind the county that we all have other jobs, and so if we could have they like to have their meetings or in the middle of the day. If we could let them know that we do ours a little bit later, that would be great. And then I just hope everyone has a great 4th of July. The partnership's having a great event down at Ski Beach and here in the Boat Basin. We got a lot of fireworks and all sorts of good stuff. So that's exciting, and hope everyone turns out for that.
Mayor Pro Tem Peterson?
Nothing tonight. Motion to adjourn.
So move.